She slept with my husband, got pregnant. Then my parents expected me to help. I never thought my life would become a cautionary tale. The kind you read on Reddit late at night, shaking your head in disbelief. But here I am, on the other side of a family implosion so complete. It makes me question everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and the very definition of family. Buckle up, because this is a wild one. From the time I could barely reach the kitchen counter, responsibility was my unwelcome companion. Our modest home was a chaotic symphony of activity, dominated by my two younger brothers and then Sarah. Amelia. Honey, could you help change Sarah's diaper? Mom's voice, perpetually laced with exhaustion from her relentless double shifts, would cut through the noise. I'd drop whatever I was doing and rush to help. A tiny soldier in a war one never signed up for. From the moment Sarah arrived, she was different. A black hole of need, sucking the air out of the room, the time, and the energy. My parents, bless their hearts, waved off any concerns, blinded by a love that bordered on delusion. I watched, a silent observer, as they worked themselves to the bone to provide for us all, Dad at the construction site, Mom cleaning houses until her hands bled. They sacrificed everything to keep food on the table and dreams alive in our hearts. My brothers, Mike and David, were the forgotten middle children, often lost in the shuffle between my endless responsibilities and Sarah's endless privileges. We shared knowing glances across the dinner table when Sarah would throw yet another tantrum and, inevitably, get her way. A silent understanding forged in shared neglect. I started working right after high school, driven by a burning desire to escape the suffocating cycle of just scraping by. The local diner wasn't glamorous, but every greasy plate I served, every dollar I earned, went straight into my college fund jar, hidden away in my closet. I'd count it late at night, each coin a tiny beacon of hope, dreaming of the day I'd finally have enough to enroll in classes at the community college. Dedication became my mantra. I went from waitressing to handling the books. And suddenly, my college dreams didn't seem like such a distant fantasy anymore. I enrolled in evening classes, juggling work and studies with a fierce determination. The exhaustion was real. Some nights, I'd literally fall asleep face down in my textbooks. But watching Sarah sleep until noon, skip school whenever she felt like it, and face absolutely no consequences only fueled my burning need to succeed. "You're going to burn yourself out," Dad said one night, finding me hunched over my accounting homework in the kitchen at midnight. I looked up and smiled, a weary but resolute smile. "Maybe, but I'm going somewhere, Dad. I promise you that." My college degree opened doors I never thought possible. First National Bank hired me as a junior analyst, and I threw myself into the work with the same unwavering determination that had gotten me through school. Once, my supervisor pulled me aside. "Amelia," she said, her eyes gleaming with professional respect. "I've never seen someone pick things up so quickly. Keep this up, and you'll go far here." I had a knack for numbers and an even better one for dealing with people. While others complained about office politics, I navigated them effortlessly. Maybe all those years of managing my dysfunctional family dynamics had finally taught me something useful. Meanwhile, my brothers, Mike and David, had moved out, starting their own lives. But Sarah was still at home, living the same consequence-free existence she always had. Mom would call me with updates I didn't want to hear. Sarah was out until 3 a.m. again. Or I don't know what to do about her parade of boyfriends. I knew about the failing grades and the general lack of direction, but I also knew I had to distance myself. I had my own life now, a life I had fought tooth and nail to build. Then came the call that shattered everything. "The father's gone to Arizona," Mom wailed, her voice cracking with despair. "Says he wants nothing to do with it. What else can we do?" "Amelia." Of course they would. Sarah was still their precious baby, Even at 18. Even pregnant with her own child. Come over on weekends. Mom pleaded. You're so good with children. That's when I started developing an impressive arsenal of excuses: urgent work projects, professional development courses, client meetings. Anything to avoid spending my precious free time taking care of yet another child brought into this world without any plan. I don't understand you anymore, Mom said, her voice laced with hurt during one particularly heated phone call. You used to be so helpful. I used to be a child forced to be helpful. I snapped back, the years of resentment bubbling to the surface. I'm an adult now, with my own life. But family? Family works both ways, Mom. Or have you forgotten the money I send every month? That usually shut them up, at least temporarily. The checks I wrote were substantial enough to cover Sarah's prenatal care and baby supplies. But it was never enough to buy their approval, their unconditional love. They're calling you heartless behind your back. You know, Aunt Lisa told me over coffee one day, stirring patterns in the dark liquid, saying you've changed, become cold. Let them talk, I said, trying to sound indifferent. They've never understood me anyway. They say you're ungrateful. Ungrateful for what? The privilege of raising their other children. The opportunity to now raise their grandchild. I've earned everything I have. Aunt Lisa. Everything. The promotion to senior analyst came through that week. My salary increased again. And so did the checks I sent home. But I kept my boundaries firm: no weekend babysitting. No last-minute favors. Let them call me selfish. I'd spent enough of my life being the responsible one. Between client meetings and financial reports, my dating app sat mostly unused on my phone. Until that rainy Tuesday night when James's message popped up. Something about his profile seemed different. Maybe it was the genuine smile or the lack of shirtless gym selfies. I'm actually an investment advisor, he wrote. Maybe we could bore each other with market talk over coffee. That coffee turned into dinner, which turned into 2 years of the kind of relationship I'd never thought I'd have time for. James was patient, understanding about my work schedule, and somehow managed to make me laugh even after my most stressful days. You? He said one evening as we walked through the park, his eyes twinkling with affection. I never thought I'd find someone who understands both compound interest and my terrible jokes. Then came the proposal. Nothing flashy. Just us in my apartment after a home-cooked meal. I can't imagine my life without you, he said, holding out the ring. Introducing him to my family was surprisingly smooth. Finally, their workaholic daughter was settling down. Mom gushed after our first family dinner together. And even Dad seemed to have taken an instant liking to James. The wedding was beautiful. James fit into the family like he'd always been there, patiently teaching Tommy how to throw a ball or build with blocks. Sarah watched these interactions with an odd intensity, one I didn't quite register at the time. He's going to be such an amazing father, she said one afternoon in the living room, her gaze fixed on James. You're so lucky. Amelia. We're not getting any younger, James would say, his voice laced with a hint of longing. I'd explain my position again and again, patiently but firmly. I want us to be completely ready. We need our own house first, not this apartment. We need savings. But we both have good jobs. What are we waiting for? That's the plan we agreed on, I'd say. But I could feel his disappointment. A subtle shift in the atmosphere between us. During family gatherings, I'd catch him looking wistfully at Tommy, his face etched with an emotion I couldn't quite decipher. Your sister manages just fine, he'd say, a touch of resentment creeping into his voice. My sister lives with our parents and relies on their retirement savings, I'd retort, my patience wearing thin. That's not what I want for our child. The tension grew slowly, almost imperceptibly, like watching storm clouds gather on a sunny day. You know the rain is coming, But you tell yourself it's still far away. I was too focused on my next promotion. The 5-year plan I'd so carefully crafted. To see the hurricane brewing right in my own home. He never could keep his side of the closet organized. That Saturday morning started like any other, a chaotic jumble of forgotten gym clothes accumulated on his shelves. That's when I found it. A phone I'd never seen before. Tucked behind his winter sweaters. Hidden away like a dirty secret. My hand shook as I opened the messages. The first one I saw was from Sarah. My baby sister. Miss you already. It read. Can't wait until Saturday when she's at work again. Hundreds of messages. Pictures I wish I could unsee. Conversations that tore at my soul. Conversations about me. LOL. She's so clueless. Always at the office. All she cares about is her precious career. The timestamps went back months. Each message a festering wound. Each betrayal deeper than the last. Then I saw it. Doctor confirmed today. My legs gave out. I don't remember driving to my parents' house. I don't remember much except the phone clutched in my white-knuckled grip. A ticking time bomb of destruction. Sarah was there. Of course. Watching Saturday morning cartoons with Tommy. One big happy family. What the hell is this? I screamed, throwing the phone on the coffee table. Sarah didn't even flinch. She picked up the phone, scrolled through it casually, like she was checking the weather. Oh, well, I guess you know now, she said, her voice devoid of any remorse. That's all you have to say. After everything. These things happen. She shrugged, her eyes betraying not even a hint of guilt. Well, yes. You're too busy with your precious career. James needs a real family. I turned to my parents, desperately waiting for them to say something. Anything. Instead, Mom sat down next to Sarah, patting her hand. Amelia, try to be reasonable. Tommy needs a father figure. And James is so good with him. And now with another baby coming. My voice cracked, raw with pain and disbelief. My husband and my sister are having an affair. And you want me to be reasonable? Well, you never wanted children. Honey, Mom said, her voice laced with a sickening reasonableness. And James. He's always wanted to be a father. Maybe this is for the best. When was the last time you even cooked him dinner? Sarah would make a proper wife. Defending the indefensible. Sarah. Smug and pregnant with my husband's child. Mom. Already planning the next wedding. Dad. Avoiding my eyes but clearly on their side. A proper wife. Stealing your sister's husband and getting pregnant is being a proper wife. Don't be dramatic. Amelia. Sarah sneered. Just go back to your big office and your important meetings. Leave the family stuff to people who actually care about it. I barely remember the drive home. It was like watching someone else's life fall apart instead of my own. When I walked through our front door, James was there in the living room, acting like it was just another normal Saturday. Hey, honey, he said, reaching out to hug me, that familiar smile on his face. The smile I used to love. The smile that now made me sick to my stomach. I stepped back, holding up his second phone. The source of so much pain and destruction. The change in his face was instant. Going from confusion to panic. Where did you find that? While cleaning. Amelia. I can explain. Explain what? The messages. The photos. Or maybe explain how you got my sister pregnant. It's not. I mean, I didn't. But he must have seen something in my face, because suddenly his whole demeanor changed. The mask dropped completely. Fine. Yes. Sarah and I are together. He snapped. What did you expect? You're never home. All you care about is work. 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 You cheated because I wanted financial security before having children. I whispered, my voice trembling with anger and hurt. You never wanted children. Not really. You always had some excuse. I felt nothing but disgust. What's important in life is loyalty, honor, basic human decency. But I guess those things aren't important to you. Or my precious sister. Don't act all high and mighty, he snarled. You're just angry because Sarah is giving me what you wouldn't. The divorce papers were filed the next day. I had documentation of the affair. Airtight evidence that ripped their carefully constructed facade to shreds. My brothers, Mike and David, came to help me move out of the apartment. They were the only ones who truly stood by me, unwavering in their support. We always knew Sarah was spoiled, Mike said, his jaw clenched with anger. David couldn't even say her name. They're dead to me, he declared, his voice filled with a righteous fury. All of them. Through my brothers. I heard the updates I never wanted but couldn't help knowing. James and Sarah got married in a small, pathetic ceremony. The baby was born. A girl. They moved into a small house in the suburbs. And Tommy started calling James Dad. Mom keeps trying to get us to visit them. Mike told me during one of our monthly dinners. Says we need to be a family again. We are a family, I said, my voice firm and unwavering. David raised his glass. The three of us. That's enough. I nodded, grateful for my brother's loyalty in a world where loyalty seemed to mean nothing anymore. We were the only ones who understood that some betrayals can't be forgiven. Some bridges can't be rebuilt. My new apartment overlooked the city skyline. Floor-to-ceiling windows that finally allowed me to display the art collection I'd always wanted. The Mercedes in my reserved parking spot gleamed under the garage lights. I made it. I built this. My brothers visited often, bringing news and rumors. Sarah and James were struggling to make ends meet. Each apartment smaller and more dilapidated than the last. But I didn't care. Until that Tuesday evening when my phone lit up with a number I'd hoped never to see again. Amelia, James said, his voice laced with a desperation that made my skin crawl. I clenched my jaw. Please don't hang up, he pleaded. I should have. We need your help, he said, as if he had any right to ask me for anything. Sarah had an accident. Broke her leg badly. A compound fracture. She's had surgery. But she can't move around. Can't take care of the kids. And she's pregnant again. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, wondering if this was some kind of cosmic joke. A cruel twist of fate designed to test the limits of my sanity. The kids need someone to pick them up from school. Watch them until I get home from work, he continued, his voice growing increasingly frantic. Tommy's getting too big to handle everything himself. And with the new baby coming, we thought maybe you could help. You thought what? Sarah can't even get to the bathroom by herself right now. He whined. My family, I repeated, the word dripping with sarcasm. The sister who slept with my husband and the husband who cheated on me. That's my family. Don't be like that, he said, his tone accusatory. This isn't about us. It's about innocent children who need help. Are you too selfish to care about them? Too selfish. I almost laughed. That's rich. Coming from you? Do you know how expensive kids are? I'm working overtime just to keep food on the table, he said, his voice laced with self-pity. We can't even afford a decent apartment anymore. Look at you and your luxury condo with your fancy car. So that's what this is about, money. Not all of us can focus only on our careers, he continued, his voice filled with resentment. Some of us have real responsibilities. Must be nice having all that money and no one to spend it on but yourself. Must be nice having the family you stole and no way to support them, I retorted, my voice dripping with venom. Sounds like a real dream come true. The kids. Think about the kids. The kids need parents who didn't build their relationship on betrayal. I spat. Goodbye, James. My mother's number showing up on my phone was almost as unwelcome as James's had been. Amelia, Mom's voice had that familiar tone. The one she always used when she wanted something. We need to talk about Sarah. She needs help. I paced my living room, fighting the urge to hang up immediately. Yes, she does, I said, my voice dangerously calm. And I'll tell you what I told him, not my problem. How can you be so cold? She's your sister. The sister who slept with my husband. She's struggling with 3 children. Well, soon to be 3. We've helped her as much as we can. But she keeps asking for money. We've gone through all our savings. I couldn't help but laugh. A harsh, bitter sound. So the golden child is finally becoming too expensive to maintain. Don't be cruel. Amelia. She's never learned to. To what? Support herself. Take responsibility for her actions. Gee. I wonder why that is. I said coldly. She just keeps having babies. Mom said, her frustration finally breaking through. She won't look for a job. Says she's too busy with the children. But she's always asking for money. Always needing something. Sounds like exactly the person you raised her to be. I said, my voice as cold as ice. Don't speak to me like that. I am your mother. Mom screamed. And whose fault is it that Sarah turned out this way? Who taught her that she never had to work for anything? That someone would always bail her out? We did our best. No. You did your easiest. And now you're calling me because the monster you created is too expensive to feed. You have a duty to help your family. Mom was almost shouting now. Everything I've done for me. I cut in. You mean like supporting my sister when she had an affair with my husband? Or like calling me selfish for wanting financial security before having children? I don't owe you anything. I hung up before she could respond, my hands shaking with 4 years of pent-up rage. The life I had so carefully constructed suddenly seemed like the best revenge. My apartment. Built exactly as I planned it. The financial security I fought so hard to achieve. The freedom to live my life on my own terms. Mike called me one evening while I was reviewing quarterly reports. You'll never guess who tried calling me today. Sarah was making the rounds. Bingo. Wanted me to help with the kids. Maybe loan them some money until they get back on their feet. He snorted. As if they were ever on their feet to begin with. What did you tell her? Same thing David told her yesterday. I reminded her she didn't seem too concerned about family when she was sleeping with your husband. I leaned back in my office chair, looking out at the city lights. How did she take that? About as well as you'd expect. Started screaming about how we're all against her. Nobody understands how hard her life is. He chuckled. A dark, humorless sound. Karma finally caught up with her. David brought the news I'd been expecting. They moved in with Mom and Dad. All of them, Sarah, James, the kids, and the baby on the way. How are Mom and Dad handling it? Remember how peaceful retirement was supposed to be? Well, now they're full-time babysitters and a team is. Mom's watching the kids while Sarah recovers. Dad's dipping into his pension to cover their expenses. I shook my head. A mixture of disbelief and grim satisfaction swirling inside me. Mom came by my place yesterday. David continued. Wanted to know if I'd talk to you about helping out. Said they're overwhelmed. I bet they are. The next day, Mom showed up at my door unannounced. I almost didn't recognize her. She looked older, tired in a way that went beyond physical exhaustion. Please. Just listen. She begged, her voice trembling. No. I cut her off. You listen. You chose all of it. You chose to spoil Sarah rotten. You chose to support her when she betrayed me. And you chose to let them move in. These are your choices. Mom. Live with them. And if you show up at my door again, I'm calling the police. Are we clear? She started to speak, but I cut her off again. The next time you feel overwhelmed, remember this was your choice. You chose the daughter who betrayed her sister over the one who only ever worked hard and did the right thing. Now live with it. I closed the door on her protests and blocked her number. The silence that followed was deafening. But in that silence, I found a strange kind of peace. The life I had built, brick by painful brick, was finally mine. The power had finally shifted to me. That night, I had dinner with Marcos, the man I've been seeing for the past few months. He never pushed, never rushed, just listened and understood. After I told him about the latest family events, he reached across the table and took my hand. Family isn't always who you're born with, he said, his eyes filled with empathy. I squeezed his hand back, thinking about my brothers who stood by me, Marcos who understood me, the life I built on my own terms. My brothers are coming over this weekend, I told him. Would you like to join us? His smile was answer enough. And for the first time in a long time, I felt truly at peace with where I was. The drama playing out in my parents' house wasn't my problem anymore. I had my own life to live, my own family to build, and my own happiness to protect. In the end, Sarah hadn't stolen my family. She'd just helped me see which parts of it were worth keeping. So, Reddit. Here's the question I've been wrestling with for years. Was I wrong to cut them all off? Did I handle this situation the right way? Was I too harsh? Or was I justified in protecting myself and my peace? I'm genuinely curious to hear your opinions. So please let me know what you think. Did I do the right thing? Or should I have tried to salvage what was left of my toxic family? I'm ready for the feedback.